How do you determine your rates for your time?
That's a good question. I kind of just go off average of what people are offering, and then I determine if that's too low. You know what I'm saying? Because in essence, we are kind of giving up our bodies. So it
So,
shouldn't be too cheap, but it's not. It can be unaffordable too.
so you're saying you saying you say you go off of what other people are saying. You mean other
Like when I was,
escorts?
yes. So when I was coming into the game, I would see kind of what everybody's charging for like a price, and I would kind of like come to a fair median, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
and something that wouldn't be seem too expensive, I guess, in my mind. But you don't want to be too cheap either. This is
Right.
not supposed to be cheap.
Right.
So I guess that's kind of the way I determined it.
Okay. Okay. So on an average, like let's say you're out here working on a Friday night and it's a good night. How much can you make on a really good
Potentially
Friday night?
about a day, I make anywhere from 800 to I'd say 800 to 1100 on
Hmm.
a day. That's on a busy day,
Okay.
and then like on a slow day, it's probably about 400 or 500
Gotcha.
a
And,
day.
and
Yeah.
with that with those dollar amounts, let's say on the high end, like they're 1100. How many clients would you have to see to
See,
get that amount
I
on
price a
average?
little bit more expensive, and the reason being for that is no offense to anybody, but it kind of eliminates the junkies,
Yes.
them kind of people,
Hmm.
and you kind of get more higher classmen. So I'd say on $1,000 day, probably like five or six,
Okay. So not bad. Not too many.
roughly about 200 a client.